Friday at 8, 7 Central on CTV.
Welcome back to CTV News Channel. I'm Brad Giffen. There's a report that got released today by GAT Active Toronto. It shows activity rates among children and adolescents vary with gender, income levels, and proximity to school. It also discovered that the children of foreign-born parents are less likely to take part in fitness programs. For more on this, we're joined by Catriona Delaney. She is the director of GAT Active Toronto. Catriona, so how do youth in Canada's biggest city rate for physical fitness?
Quite poorly, Brad. As you can see, 97% of Canada's and Toronto's children and youth don't get enough of a vigorous or moderate activity on a daily basis in order to derive health benefits.
So let's talk about those, what seems to be new news when it comes to activity rates of kids and adolescents, that it varies by gender, that it varies by income levels, even how close they live to school.
Well, the closer you live to school, the more likely you are to walk to and from school. And simply that activity of walking to and from school gives you, generally speaking, close to your 1 hour of recommended daily physical activity. So those kids tend to derive greater health benefits. If you live in a priority neighborhood and are subject to a lower income and live in a high-rise community and you have a long commute to school, then your opportunity to be physically active is impaired. We also noted that girls, young girls, tend to be less physically active than boys, and that was something which caused us concern for the City of Toronto.
Interesting. Any idea why?
I think that we need to do a lot of research in that area. We can make a lot of assumptions about why, and we can look at what's happening, what activities are available for girls. We talked to girls in some focus groups. They said to us that they wanted to participate in co-ed opportunities with boys, but only 10% of schools provide those co-ed opportunities. And the types of programs that are available to girls in after-school programming tend to be more cost prohibitive. So we need to find ways to make these programs more accessible to that gender group.
And what about children born of parents from other countries?
Again, it's really interesting finding for us is that looking at newcomer populations, that they are set with a different set of barriers to physical activity that are very unique to a newcomer population. Where they live, how many jobs they have, the type of income that they might have, whether or not we speak to them in the language that they can understand. All of these factors affect whether or not the parents are going to be living in an active way, and as an adjunct to that, whether or not their children will be physically active. On top of that, or added to that, are cultural attitudes toward physical activity and being involved in physical activity programs, which may be very different depending on where these newcomers are coming from.
And quickly, I take it that this isn't confined just to Canada's largest city, Toronto.
I don't think it is confined to Toronto, but I think that as we're the most diverse population in Canada, we're probably the most interesting to look at, but also the most challenging in terms of changing the trend from being inactive to active.
Catriona Delaney, Director of GAT Active Toronto. We're getting active right away, and thank you for this.
Thank you.
U.S. President Barack Obama addressed the British Parliament today, telling lawmakers their country's role on the world stage is growing, not diminishing.